Pastor David here, and I'm in the master bedroom in our home, and I'm sitting on a hospital bed. You can see a little bit of an indentation here. This is where Joni's mother, Marilyn, has been laying for the last few days, and her body physically was in a very difficult shape, groaning, longing for the day of her being united with Jesus. And just before the mortuary came a few minutes ago to take her body, Joni and I sat by the bed looking at what appeared to be Marilyn, but yet we were marveling at the fact that actually the body that we were looking at was just an encasement. It was an empty shell. The woman that we loved, Marilyn, was actually out of that body. Her soul has now been reunited with Jesus. And that's all because of the amazing good news of the gospel. Death that comes upon this world was to be permanent, everlasting damnation apart from the good news of Jesus, who came and died in Marilyn's place, my place, Joni's place. Anyone who's put their trust in Jesus Christ, he died in their place, taking on the wrath of God, so that Jesus could look at them and take that person who had been deserving of eternal damnation and say, declared righteous. Marilyn Martins was declared righteous. And because of that, as we sat around her body, that empty shell, we could rejoice that she was with Jesus. We've been going through the book of 1 Thessalonians, and we are learning that in chapter 4, there was a concern. Jesus had gone back to the heaven. People were getting saved. Everybody knew that Jesus was going to come and set up his kingdom. But wait a second, what about those who had already died and Jesus has not come back yet? Well, Paul wants to address that in his letter to the Thessalonians. And so he says, we don't want you to be ignorant, brothers and sisters. We don't want you to let this one fact escape your notice, that those who are dead will be raised up, and those of us who are alive and we remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds, and then we will forever be with the Lord. And he goes on and says, here's my conclusion: comfort one another with these words. So what were Joni and I doing as we were sitting here looking at that empty shell? We were thinking of that day, that should we continue to live and Jesus come back, we would be caught up. She would be raised up first. We would be caught up with her in the clouds. And we would be united with Jesus together. And forever, throughout all of eternity, we would be with the Lord. That's a comfort to us. Isn't the gospel good news? It's simply her belief, her faith in the gospel that helped her be transferred from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of Jesus' marvelous light. It was the good news of the gospel that helped her to be transferred from being dead to being alive. It was the good news of the gospel that took this woman who was bent on herself, bent on the deeds of the flesh, and transformed her by the renewing of the mind so that she could walk in the Spirit and be pleasing to her Heavenly Father. There's grieving when you sit and look at an empty shell. You remember the things about that person that were so dear to you. There's obviously events that are remembered. There are tears that are shed. But there's also hope and there's comfort. And so as Marilyn has gone to be with the Lord, simply going before us, we are grieving, but we are comforted and we are rejoicing because of the good news of the gospel. And so we rejoice in hope that one day we will be reunited with her. And so here's the question: do you have that hope? Do those around you have that hope? Let's make sure that everyone understands the good news of the gospel so that we also can share in that uniting with Jesus that awaits those who put their faith and trust in him. God bless each one of you.